Now the NBC 10 investigation. Teachers tell all.
The minute the right opportunity comes up, I am leaving.
Teachers tell us why they want to leave the classroom.
A change has to happen because there will be no teachers left.
The NBC 10 investigators surveyed hundreds of Philadelphia school teachers to find out what's pushing them away from teaching.
Investigative reporter Mitch Blocker spoke with educators willing to call it quits if things don't change.
Philadelphia school teachers say they're risking their jobs to talk to us.
I have high school kids who read at a kindergarten level.
They wanted to explain why test scores for literacy, math, and science remain low inside Philadelphia's schools.
We're asked to teach to the test. They will come right out and tell you, if it's not a test-taking skill, don't teach it.
Some blamed classroom disruptions.
Chaos. I can describe it as students running around the school like a pack of wolves all day long.
Some pointed to class size.
In my experience, once you pass 20 kids, that's when you start to see a lot of the problem behaviors.
More than 500 Philadelphia school teachers took our Teachers Tell All survey. The survey found almost 60% say they have considered leaving the profession in the last 2 years.
Everything is dictated to you. You have basically no say. It's almost as if we're reading from a script.
They described a disconnect between teaching to students' needs and abilities and teaching to a state test.
How can you teach a child at the 9th grade level when he can't even comprehend on the 4th grade level?
In our survey, teachers identified the biggest hurdle to staying in the classroom. Number one, with 41%, is stress associated with demands on teachers. Number two, student behavior. Pay was third. The current pay scale for Philadelphia teachers is between $46,000 and $84,000. That depends on education and experience. 35% of teachers surveyed said a raise is the number one thing that would get them to stay.
The rate of teacher quitting is about double that of professors, for instance. It's even higher than nurses. It's even a little higher in police, which surprised me.
Richard Ingersoll is an education and sociology professor at the University of Pennsylvania. His research shows more than 40% of teachers nationwide leave teaching within 5 years of entering it.
It's not that we produce too few, it's that we lose too many.
The district says most of its teachers stay, and records given to the Department of Education by the district over the last 5 years show that more than 90% of teachers stay in their jobs. But the head of the Philadelphia Teachers Union does not believe that number.
I don't believe that it's 90%, particularly in a number of schools that each year have a large number of teacher vacancies that they have to fill.
Stability is important. Stability is extremely important.
We wanted to talk with Philadelphia School Superintendent William Hite specifically about what teachers told us in our survey. We sent the results to the district's communications staff, but Hite said he hadn't seen what teachers told us and wasn't interested in talking about our survey.
I don't know what was on your survey.
He said more teachers responded to the district's own survey.
I feel like we get a lot of information from individuals and from teachers in particular.
The teachers union said what its members told us about school stress is accurate and should be looked at.
These are the needs coming from the people on the front line every day doing the job of teaching Philadelphia's children.
I don't want to leave, but if it gets worse, I guess I'm going to have to reconsider.
For the investigators, I'm Mitch Blocker, NBC 10 News.
Now, Teachers Tell All about classroom costs.
That's about $2,000 for me a year.
They describe cash-strapped public schools.
Schools say they don't have no money.
And tell the NBC 10 investigators basic supplies come out of their pockets.
I was glad that somebody brought up the money issue. How much money teachers spend.
Buying pens, pencils, paper, and a whole lot more. Our NBC 10 investigation, Teachers Tell All, continues by looking at educators' out-of-pocket costs.
Our survey showed the burden of buying supplies falls on teachers with little reimbursement. NBC 10 investigative reporter Mitch Blocker took the results to the people who could change that.
Last year was over $600, $500 to $1,000 a year. And I'm up to $600 that I've spent in my classroom.
They're among more than 500 Philadelphia public school teachers who answered our survey about life in Philadelphia public school classrooms. We're concealing their identities because they fear retaliation for speaking out.
I don't have money to spare, but I'm committed to teaching.
Almost 75% of the teachers said they spend north of $300 each year. One teacher wrote they spend $1,600, another more than $2,000 a year, and one said $5,000.
I'm spending a lot of my money on pencils and pens and tissues and Clorox wipes, and the city does, or my school provides some of that, but they run out.
If the school district didn't have the kind of resources I needed to support my students in literacy, reading, and writing, I would buy them out of my own pocket.
4 out of 5 teachers we surveyed told us they believe the supplies they bought should be provided by their school, not students.
Why are teachers spending so much of their own money in the classroom?
I don't. You have to ask the teachers that. And
we did. And they said that it's because the district doesn't supply
we actually do
enough
supply
materials.
We do supply materials, and we actually supply reimbursements for materials that teachers spend.
The school district of Philadelphia's website says it reimburses teachers up to $100 a year for school supplies, but fewer than 20% of the teachers we surveyed said they got reimbursement from the district. When the district did its own survey last year, 50% of principals said a lack of adequate funding is a great challenge.
To the extent the committee doesn't have this information about Pennsylvania, we'll bring it to their attention.
U.S. Senator Bob Casey is on the Education, Health, Labor, and Pensions Committee. In 2002, Congress passed a law to give teachers a $250 tax credit for classroom expenses.
Was $250 enough?
No, and it should be increased over the course of time.
I would say at least $500.
New Jersey Senator Cory Booker introduced the RAISE Act in September. It would give teachers at least a $1,000 tax credit. Teachers will be watching closely as they continue to bear the costs.
If I have a student who really want to learn, I'll do whatever I can to help them.
Sometimes trouble in the classroom is caught by cameras.
I was stabbed with pencil.
But teachers tell the NBC 10 investigators what you're seeing is only a sliver of the story.
If the parents knew truthfully what went on in the schools, there would be repercussions.
The NBC 10 investigators asked hundreds of Philadelphia teachers in a non-scientific survey about their classroom experience.
Some of those educators tell us they are teaching scared. Here's investigative reporter Mitch Blocker with Teachers Tell All.
Oh my God! We've shown you fights in hallways and brawls broken up by teachers.
Have you been assaulted?
Yes, twice.
This teacher is among hundreds who answered yes to that question. The NBC 10 investigators conducted a survey of Philadelphia school teachers. We received more than 500 responses. We're concealing the identity of educators we spoke with because they fear school district retaliation.
I've seen lots of students as young as 6 and 7 years old throw chairs, throw furniture. We had an incident in another school where they threw feces at a teacher.
Of the teachers who answered our survey, 42% of them told us they've been physically assaulted by a student. 38% told us they don't believe their school is well protected against violence, whether it be external or internal. One teacher wrote, "I've been punched, kicked, and scratched." Another described being hit by a metal trash can. Some wrote about being injured by students, including, "My neck was sprained, and I was punched in the stomach by a student when I was 7 months pregnant."
There's clearly something going on that needs to be attended to.
We showed our survey results to educational psychology professor Eric Anderman. He studies violence against teachers.
It looked to me like your elementary teachers are the ones who are feel the least safe and feel like they see the most violence, which that surprised me.
State safe school records show in the last 5 full school years, 785 incidents of aggravated assault on school staff.
And if you want people to learn, you've got to get them to focus. These are distractions from focusing.
A lot of it is disciplinary. There's no consequences. Even the littlest kid can, and I've seen it many times, can destroy a classroom, overturn desks and chairs, interrupt instruction for long periods of time, and there's really no consequence.
Records show last year more than 11,700 out-of-school suspensions for violence, but there were 0 expulsions in the Philly school district.
In the real world, if you go out and you carry out some of these actions that they're doing, you will go to jail.
When we told Philadelphia School Superintendent William Hite what teachers told us about safety concerns, He said he wasn't surprised.
We're a large school district with a lot of issues that children come to us with significant challenges, and we are training individuals to deal with those things.
We asked to schedule time with Hite to discuss our survey results. He declined, so we met up with him after a school board meeting.
Many individuals are concerned about safety, and they're concerned about the health and welfare of their students.
He said the district's own survey showed staff bothered by school safety. When we brought up teachers wanting more student discipline after assaults, Hite had enough.
They've mentioned the fact that there's not discipline.
I gotta take off.
I never expected violence would be part of my job.
Were you able to teach properly in an environment like that?
No. There was little education went on when those occurrences occurred.
For the investigators, I'm Mitch Blocker, NBC 10 News.